And welcome to the Magic is Real podcast. I am Shannon. I am your host. I'm a psychic medium. Thank you so much for being here. You may not have even noticed, but I'm just pointing out before you think something's wrong. I have a pirate eye, so I'm going to be
Oh,
winking at you. That is got some Botox in the eye, in case you
no.
you may have thought that I'm just this beautiful naturally, but just throwing it out there so that I don't feel self-conscious about it, even though maybe you
Huh.
weren't going to notice. So I just wanted to throw that out there for those that are watching on YouTube. Today I have with me the lovely Denali Veda. I'm going to share a little bit about her bio in her own words. I am Denali Veda, intuitive empath, light worker, and enlightened life coach. I know how to make miracles happen. I am a certified quantum introspective quantum healer, small business owner, and married mother of two beautiful souls. So I have, she's also an omnist, which means that Denali believes that there are universal truths in numerous religions. So I think that makes me one too. And
Mhm.
I also have her here to talk about her work and all things metaphysical and spiritual. But Denali also had a near-death experience. So we're going to talk about that as well as her work. Denali, thank you so much for joining me today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, it's my pleasure and honor. And your eye looks, I didn't even notice
See, I
really
probably
either.
shouldn't have even mentioned it.
No.
So yeah, so and yeah, I'm on vacation, so I can't get it fixed for 2 weeks. So I'm just gonna let it roll. So I wanted to
Oh,
start. Oh yeah,
well, I
go
was
ahead.
going to say also my introduction, I need to update my website. I haven't
Yeah.
updated, but now I used to just call myself a quantum healer. And when I did this 4 or 5 years ago, because it was so long to say QHHT, quantum healing
Yes.
practitioner, tech, all this stuff. And I go, I'm just going to call myself a quantum healer. And nobody was doing it then. No one was calling that. And now all these people are calling themselves quantum healers that don't even do hypnosis. So it's like very broad. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm a quantum medicine woman.
I
It's
love that. Talk about that. Let's start by talking
title.
about your work and what that means and how it works.
Yes, because well, I have reconnected to my Native American ancestry very much in the Ayurvedic, just traditional medicines and traditional Chinese medicine as well. It's just all my passion, like herbalism and getting back to our roots is how I teach and I make traditional like medicine detoxes and tinctures. And I have a third eye awakening tea that is the best tea you'll ever have. So I'm going to send you one so you can try it. But it has holy
Yeah.
basil, blue butterfly pea flower, Moroccan mint, and lemon balm. And then sometimes I do blue lotus in it as well. So it's going to help. It's a really great meditation tea.
You
Um,
know what? If you send that to me, I will try it and I will give a little, I'll do a little Instagram reel about it and say how it worked for me. So please, I would love that.
well, for sure. I'd love that too. But, on my journey, on this healing and awakening journey, I had Lyme disease. I had autoimmune disease since I was a child. Both my mother died from lupus. My father has been dying. They told me when I was a little girl, had a terminal illness that was a rare genetic disease called polymyositis. And really, he's still alive miraculously when they gave him 10 years to live, and he's in his 70s now, but he's not healthy because he still listens to the doctors, unfortunately. But, I was wise enough when a doctor told me you can't be cured and here's just antibiotics and pain pills. I'm like, no. And I saw what it did to my mother and I saw what they did to my father already. And I'm like, I'm going to become my own doctor and learn how to make my own medicines and, and holistic medicine, and found Edgar Casey, the father, one of the fathers of holistic medicine, that really launched my journey into spirituality, because he helped me bridge my Christian path into a more spiritual path as well. Because I didn't at that time when I found him, I'm like, I don't want to offend God. Am I offending God? Because that's how you're almost brainwashed into not looking and reading about, other spiritual paths and traditions out there. But making medicine is a passion of mine. And then quantum medicine that I do is the quantum healing hypnosis therapy, which I also practice an evolution of, that I created with the Agarthans, who are from Inner Earth. And they brought the Hindu Vedas. They brought us, massive spiritual knowledge throughout the ages. And they are like where the ascended masters dwell, essentially. So you can call it's in Inner Earth, but it's another dimension, and you have to be allowed in. It's a heavenly realm, a heavenly state dimension. And they contacted me, the Agarthans started visiting my dreams. And then like I would see all this stuff on YouTube all of a sudden about Agartha started coming up, and then I just started studying it. But one night I woke up in the morning, I get a lot of downloads right before I'm like waking up, and I kept hearing Agartha, Agartha, Agartha over and over in my head. And I'm like, what's going on? And so that just gave me, started studying it more. And then they started coming through in clients. And, they asked me to write a book. And I wrote the book. I'm editing it now, and editing sucks, but I'm a little behind on it's hard to edit yourself, I think. And then I'm not editing the Agarthans. I also putting like my journey of my healing and awakening journey in there. But yeah, it is just Dolores Cannon had this happen with Nostradamus, and someone that had a past life with Nostradamus started channeling Nostradamus saying, hey, you got some of my stuff wrong and I need to tell you about it, basically. And so the Agarthans are just, revealing the secrets of the mysteries in the universe, and here to help us ascend, and here to help us, back to the love, light, and unity and wisdom. And we were all one family before all this separation and division and, hate going on in the world, where we've forgotten we're all family. But the spiritual journey that I've been on, I'm so blessed to be on. I've had many trials and tribulations, and my near-death experience was a blessing. And it helped me to reach next levels and understand more of who I am and my mission as well. And I've also experienced out-of-body experiences and been to different levels of heaven since then. But in my near-death experience, it was right after COVID. And we wanted to just go and be in nature. And we decided to go to a state park locally, and we rented a cabin in the woods. And this cabin, when I got there, I didn't immediately, because I'm a sensitive, I didn't like the energy. It was very thick, very stagnant air, very musky. And, you can smell the evil spirits too, have like sulfur smells or, just unpleasant smells. And I told my husband I didn't want to stay there. But he's like, oh, it's, well, we already paid for it. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. But we end up, going throughout our day and hiking and horseback riding, and come back. And something happened during that day where my husband really, really triggered me. And I was so infuriated at him. And I don't know why. It wasn't even that big of a deal. But for some reason, it was like the energy in that house when I got home. I was like madder again, or he did something or said something else. And then that night I went to bed angry. Like I wouldn't kiss him goodnight. And I just went, I'm not kissing you goodnight. And that night, I believe I had a nightmare. I can't recall. But when I woke up, I had been bitten right on my bikini line by a spider. And we didn't know at that time exactly what it was. And my husband's like, oh, I've been bitten by spiders. It's not a big deal. And I really didn't want to go to an emergency room or Ready Med when we're on vacation. And it would, take up the whole day. And I decided I'll put it off and just, keep an eye on it. And I looked up what I could do, myself and that. And I ended up really 6-7 days later in a bad way, because I was dying from the spider bite. And it was, I was at my home, and all of a sudden I felt so feverish and flu-like, and I was gradually getting like sicker through those days and just resting mainly. But at this point I was trying to get up and, just do my daily work. And I all of a sudden got so dizzy, and I could feel so exhausted, like my life force was being drained from me. And I'm like, I gotta go lay down. I don't know what's going on. And I'm wanting to be positive, and I want to, like, I didn't want to be fearful. I have fearful thoughts. And I really didn't even cross my mind that I could have died from this until this like moment. And I go and lay in bed, and I'm very emotional and crying now, because I thought, oh, maybe it's too late. I should have gotten it looked at. And I had some regrets just about thinking about my life. And I start going unconscious, and I start seeing orbs of white, like coming out of me, like leaking out of me. This like soul was leaking out of me. And then I started to have my life review. And my life review was so beautiful at first. I was shown such heartwarming scenes, and I was seeing this from like it was like a movie that I was watching with me in it. And I got to see it from that perspective. And I saw like my children and my husband, and then seeing like, oh, my husband is good, and like I should be grateful for my husband and grateful for all these small things that like I was missing or I wasn't really truly appreciating. It was what creator was trying to show me. And then they showed me I was angry. I had unforgiveness. I had work to do. And I didn't realize, like, I guess I had become jaded because of my pain and trauma. And at that time, I didn't have tools and keys or even know that I needed to heal all this trauma within me and, anger or sadness and things that, we need to let go of. And I really didn't I got to see my angry self, and it was like, wow, I don't want to be that, and I don't want to live like that. And so it was like a wake up call and a warning for me to really reestablish and get back on my path of who I am and who I want to be. And so it was such a blessing to see, even though it was uncomfortable and painful and a little bit of traumatic experience, I say it was a blessing now. And that's how, from a higher perspective, our trials and trauma can be blessings in many ways, because if you learn the lesson you are meant to from the trauma or things that you experience, then it is a blessing. Otherwise, you're just holding on to that, and then it's going to have to repeat. Lessons keep repeating. I hope I don't want to get bit by a spider again. And, it also taught me, make sure to check your bed and covers and before you get into bed, because that's I guess a thing that spiders hide in beds. And I was never aware of that.
Do you know what kind of spider it was? I'm just curious.
Brown recluse.
Oh,
We
was it? Oh man. Ugh.
because they are all over that I found one in the cabin and they're in that area. So, um, going through, I saw this and, I end up waking up and I was so grateful. I was so grateful to be alive. I was just filled with gratitude and ready to make changes in my life and live the life I wanted to. Because, when you are close to death, it's like, well, I haven't done this and I want to do that. And I need to, do this before I die. I just had it re-invoked all my passions again that I was putting off as well. And, after I woke up, I had went to go get mail at some point, and my neighbor across the street, she's out on her porch usually, and I'll talk to her, an elder neighbor of mine, and I wanted to tell her what happened. And I went and explained, I was bit by a spider, and she said, well, my dad died from a spider bite 7 days after he was bitten. And that's when I had my experience, was on that sixth or seventh
Wow.
day. And I felt that just my jaw dropped, and I'm like, this is a message for me, and it's telling me be grateful again, and showing me how lucky I am to survive that. And I do have, I used holistic remedies on it. I put charcoal on it to draw out the poison. And I think those ended up saving me, taking natural antibiotics and that, with what tools and keys I had. But really, even if I had gone to the emergency room locally, they're not used to spider bites or things like that. So it might not have helped after all. But, I never expected to have something like that. It's such a rare, occurrence. I didn't expect I'm going to go on vacation and be bit by a spider, but I needed to have that experience, and I needed to see what I wasn't seeing, and holding on to grudges, holding on to resentment, and how important forgiveness was the overall lesson for me. And that's my main lesson on this wheel of the medicine wheel. And in this karmic cycle, the angels have told me, learning that forgiveness, because forgiveness is not for them, it's for us. And, in my last interview, I guess I didn't explain well enough, because there were a lot of people upset, like, you can't forgive the narcissist, you can't da 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 da. And I'm just like,
Oh
people
yeah.
do this and that to you. And I'm like, yes, you can. And you can cut them off too. And you don't even have to forgive them eye to eye or tell them you forgive them. I do this for my clients, and I'm going to do this really quick for all of you guys. A very powerful healing forgiveness tool is to go ahead and visualize that person that broke your heart, that person that betrayed you, that person that you are having trouble letting go and understanding how to forgive, and visualize them standing there before you, and then see them shrink down into their inner child, into their child self, basically. See them as a little child. And it's easier to forgive a child and understand you didn't know any better. And and I love you, and I forgive you, and I bless you and set you free, because we're meant to bless the people that hate us. We're meant to, bless the haters and the naysayers, because that's what the ascended masters, that's what Yeshua taught. And Buddha teaches holding on to anger is like holding a hot coal, so it burns you. It's like we think it's going to hurt them, being like telling them you hate them and all of these things. You're filling yourself with poison, because hate is poison and anger is poison. And there are 7 poisons in the Native American First Nations teachings that are those. It's like the 7 deadly sins, essentially. And the medicine for hate or unforgiveness or anger is forgiveness. So I'm learning that lesson. And sometimes we have to forgive people more than once. And my father, still, I'm not close with him. I have to set a lot of boundaries with him, because he is a level 10 narcissist. And he traumatized me the most and was the first man to ever break my heart. And it's taken years of therapy, just to heal from his trauma, and then realizing he's not changing, most likely, but I accept, who he is, and don't take it personal anymore, because I realize all these people that lash out at you, and the narcissists that are attacking you, and the energy vampires that come for you, it's their own inner demons. It's not even about you. It's, your light is triggering their demons, and they hate themselves. People that hate themselves. And I also realized I had self-hate and self-loathing to let go of too, because I felt so unloved and unwanted and alone ever since I was a child. I didn't get that foundation of unconditional love other than from my grandparents. And my grandfather was more of my father to me, who I was really, close to, and it never broke my heart, and always he protected me from my father, in fact. And would defend me from him. And I had to move in with my grandparents a couple times to escape from my father's abuse. My father held a gun to my head when I was in 6th grade and said he was going to kill me for something small that I did. Like, he was a military man, Catholic, extremely OCD and bipolar, and a vet. So a lot going on. And he never healed his trauma either, is what I realized. And my mother never healed their trauma. And that's why it bleeds over, and it just, it ends up hurting the ones we love. And I saw my trauma was doing that too. So I definitely didn't want to be like my mother or father and not do my healing. And, I'm lucky to come out of the toxic cycles that I witnessed, to ascend out of that and be a great mother myself now, and give them the strongest foundation that I didn't have. And really, it's just a game changer to love yourself, love your enemy, and be a being of love. And that's the key to New Earth and entering New Earth anyway. It's love frequency, and what Creator truly is in essence, and what I learned in my out-of-body experience that I had in 2015-16, which was a life-changing, beautiful experience. And this experience happened in my home and in my bed as well. And this was in the middle of the night. I couldn't sleep. And I was going to tell my Alexa, just play, one of my regular things, or tell it to play ocean sounds, because that's what helps me. Usually I sleep to the ocean sounds because it's not as stimulating as other music. And suddenly it played a song I didn't tell it to play. And I took forever to find the song, and I have it now. I figured it out finally. But this song was a Sanskrit mantra, and it was singing bowls and this mantra, but no, I can't remember it. And it was so soothing and so relaxing. I'm like, I'm just going to let this play. And I started to get so relaxed. I started to vibrate, and I started to vibrate so intensely that my body exploded or imploded from the inside out. Like it was a star supernova. The spirit of my body came out, and I was a pure being of light. I was just a light body, and there was a portal above me, and I was pulled through this portal, and I was traveling through the cosmos as just this light body, and I arrived at the galactic center. And there before me in this divine place was Creator, the one, the all, the magnificent, was a giant vortex of emanation of pure light and pure love consciousness. And there was this song that I immediately that could recognize and understand was pure love. You know, I don't know if it was the 528 hertz frequency. It was kind of a frequency sound more than, you know, how we listen to songs or would know a song. But I immediately felt pure love. I felt at home, the home I've always been looking for. I was welcomed. I was adored. I was worshiped. I was just everything I ever needed was there, and nothing else really mattered in this place and in this space that I was in. And there were other little stars I noticed the size of me, because I was tiny in comparison to Creator. And I saw these other little stars come right over, and they became one with Creator. And then I was pulled over, and I became one. And so this was showing me we are all one. You know, we are one, and this is an illusion. This world is an illusion world, and quantum entanglement and quantum physics prove we're all connected. And in this space of oneness and being at home, Creator shared with me telepathically, because I didn't have ears, my mission. And the mission was love. And not only is it my mission, it's all of our missions. We have a collective mission to bring the divine love, the true unconditional love. I took that energy and I bring it back. And honestly, I'm a teacher of love now, and understanding what pure love is. And people really don't understand. And it's almost impossible to understand, because it's so hard to find in this world. So hard to find a true lover, true friends, and true family that give you that unconditional love without judgment. And what I want to explain what love is too is there's 7 forms of love, and they are the opposites of the 7 sins, or the 7 poisons. They're the 7 medicines, essentially: joy, peace, forgiveness. Those are all forms of love that we need to realize.
That's
And
beautiful. Yeah.
but you know, I was sent back to my body, and I was a little like, really, you know, I had to come, but I knew I had to do the work, and I agreed to all this before I came. And I originally didn't even tell this story, because I know who's going to believe me.
Right.
And I don't have proof. And,
Yeah.
you know, so I told like my husband, and, you know, a couple people I know were open-minded, but I was going to tell one of my aunts works for the Catholic Church, and I was excited to tell her that I had met God. and, and I went to lunch with her, and she broke my heart, because she just crushed me and shamed me. And what I found out later, talking to the angels, is she was jealous, because why didn't that happen to her? She would think I wasn't worthy enough in her eyes, because I had been such a sinner in her eyes. And, you know, I decided after I told her I wasn't going to tell the people this anymore. And I said, maybe I'm not the messenger for Creator. You know, he can have someone else needs to do it, because people aren't going to listen to me. And, you know, it wasn't until actually I found a near-death experience on Facebook that I'd never even watched them before or really into it or anything. And I saw just part of it, and I followed the lady, and then I think I commented, and it was Jeff Mara's show. And then I said, well, I had a near-death experience too. And Jeff Mara, you know, asked me to be on his show. And so that was the first time. It had been maybe 2, 3 years, 3 years, 4 years. I can't even remember. Time is like, I can't understand time anymore. I'm losing concept of all the time. But so I went on the Jeff Mara show, and then ever since I'm like, I'm going to start telling this. There are people that want to hear it. I realize there are people that are dying to hear these near-death experiences, and then found, all these community that's been amazing and so transforming. And these experiences should be shared. And if anyone is out there that has had an experience too, and isn't bright, has been scared to share it, start sharing it and just be brave. And it's meant for you to share, because it is so transforming for people, and it gives them hope and gives them, the knowledge or wisdom that we need to know that, overall, God is not who I thought, like this jealous, angry God that's in the Old Testament. That's not what creator is. So there's so many misconceptions that, about God or about this universe. And this universe, as I was saying, or this reality, is just an illusion. It's called Maya, in Hinduism. And it means dream world. We're in a dream world. And this is what I've learned and been shown in more visions and more journeys. And do you ever wake up in a dream and know you're dreaming in a dream?
All the
Well,
time.
we can do that in this life. They've taught me. We are actually in a dream. And
Yeah, I tattooed that on my arm. Life is but a dream, for that reason, but I want to hear what they told you about it, because that's where I'm at.
yes, well,
Yeah.
I've met Morpheus. I don't know if you've ever met with, he's the god of dreams. So on one of my, this needed to be a movie. It was, I think, 3 or 4 of my sessions I've done with my sister. She's highly psychic too. She's more psychic than me. And she's lived in the mountains in the Appalachians for years, and she would have no internet, and she would just meditate for hours. So she's like way more advanced. I don't have all that time, and she has no kids, but she's amazing. And I couldn't even record these on my Zoom or anything, just over the phone. And so I wish I had, I would just take notes on, and write everything down, the most important messages. But in this journey, I love when the spirits take over. I really let the spirits guide me in every session, and I'm just like intermediary. But so we go to the underworld first. I have an owl guide and then this other spirit guide that took us through a maze in the underworld. And then it was almost like Alice in Wonderland when it looked like when we get to the underworld. And we had to come and pick up another protector. We got like a hellhound or a dog. I don't know what else to call him, but it kind of looked like Anubis. And he came with us through the underworld to protect us. And then I was taken to Dream World, and we got a tour of Dream World, and we took a flying train through over Dream World, and we had a tour guide that was telling us this is where we come at night and have our dreams, but this world is also a dream. So that's, it was also revealed to me. And more my life feels like this is a dream.
Yeah.
I think the more you awaken and ascend, it is more dreamlike, and you can build your dreams and live your dreams. And that's what people don't understand. We are not helpless. We are not victims, and we co-create all of our realities. And our reality is just a projection from our inner world going out into the outer world. So when we change our minds and thoughts and frequencies, you can live a beautiful dream. You can live a more healthy, whole, and upgraded or ascended dream. And, I'm still going through trials. I'm still going through tribulations. And I say it's not like trials go away. I think, maybe you'll have less, but it gets easier the more trials you go through, because, hopefully you're learning your lessons. So I've learned my lessons as I'm going through, my trials and tribulations. But yeah, Morpheus, if anyone wants to connect and do dream work, you want to connect to Morpheus, give him an offering, light him a candle. He appears, he has glowing eyes. You can recognize him by his eyes, but he's a shapeshifter. So he comes in our dreams a lot, actually, as a shapeshifter. And then you could ask him to reveal himself to you if you're feeling called to work with him. But he's amazing. He ended up giving me and my sister a necklace as a gift it gives us extra spiritual powers and like protects us when we're in the dream world, essentially.
Yeah, and you said that we do really have the power to co-create. Can you give some examples of how we do that and how we can create our best dream life reality?
Visualization and meditation, and then putting that in action. and believing. And it all comes from, everything's placebo. People don't realize how placebo works. And it's a miracle in itself what placebo is, because it's really their faith in their mind that believes that this is going to heal them when you're given a sugar pill and then it works. So it's the same thing with whatever it is. If you want to create a miracle, you have to believe it with all of your heart and have no doubts about it, and know that, you know, you deserve it. A lot of what blocks our manifestation, and what was blocking me, you know, in most of my life, is my unworthiness program that I had instilled from my father, because I was never good enough for my father. No matter what I did, was never good enough. And so I carried that weight on me and took his, it was really him that felt not good enough,
Yeah.
you know, but I had to shed those layers and learn and understand that we're all worthy no matter what. And Creator also taught me that, you know, my sins, my past, it is not, it doesn't make you who you are now. It matters who you are now, and let go of the past, and don't be a prisoner of the past. And I was a prisoner of the past. And I also like to say I went from martyr to master. You know, I'm becoming the master. Excuse me, I don't know why that keeps beeping. And victimhood will set you back in all ways. And I felt so sorry for myself, and depressed a lot of my life, and suicidal most of my life. And I used to wish to die and pray to die. And when I was 11 years old, it was the first time I attempted to die, because I felt, you know, just the world would be better off without me. I felt, you know, no one would even miss me, and nobody truly loves me. And I just wanted to go home, because I could still, as a little girl, remember heaven. But so I went to a cabinet and took pills that I found. But what happened was, I had spirit communicate with me, and I heard a voice in my head tell me, go tell your mom what you did. Go tell your mother what you did. They kept saying, and it was like, I'm like, that's not me talking. Like, where's that coming from? And so I did, you know, go telling my mom, and I was scared I was going to get in trouble. So I didn't tell him I did it on purpose. And I was also ashamed that, you know, I wanted to die. And I picked a lot of hard trials before coming here. I almost get mad at my higher self. Why did you agree to so much trauma? And, you know, my parents had just got divorced. We had to move into subsidized housing at this apartment that I was in and my stepfather was an abusive alcoholic and heroin addict. And I would see him abuse my mother, and I was living in hell. I was literally living in hell my childhood, and just trying to survive. And nobody saw me as, like, I feel like nobody saw me or nobody heard me. You know, I just didn't, and I couldn't use my voice, especially with my father. I could never say anything back to him or stand up for myself, or, you know, it was like I wasn't allowed to stand up for myself at all. And I'm so proud of myself for the woman that I've become, and that I most definitely stand up for myself to whoever it is, and stand up to other bullies. And, you know, I get bullied and hated, and I've had death threats for my messages and things that I teach. So, you know, but I don't care, and I don't mind. And instead of me cursing those people that curse me, I bless them instead. Like, I love people that wish for me to live and wish me blessings. And I also love people that wish for me to die, because they need that. We need to understand they're broken and they're toxic. And, you know, that's part of my mission, is teaching the divine love, and what Yeshua taught, even while he was on the cross. Didn't he forgive those that beat him and, you know, brutally murdered him? And forgiveness is, again, just going to set you free. So the sooner you learn to let that go, the sooner you're going to ascend into your dream reality. And make sure that you're using affirmations. There's lots of tools, like, you know, affirming, I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am wise. It's just an easy little fun one you can do daily. And I don't know if you follow Bashar, but I'm a huge
Mhm.
fan of Bashar. And I just saw this video from him. I need to meet him. Oh my gosh. I hear him in my head now sometimes. He's
Yeah.
communicating with me in my head now, and he's hilarious. But he was talking about money, and, you know, everyone wants to manifest their money and their dream life. And he's like, we have these wrong teachings about money. One, you either think money's evil, or you think you're going to be evil if you get money. And then what was the other one? You don't deserve it. Okay. So a lack of confidence and, martyrdom and victimhood programs that you have, you got to let go of those. So understanding now, I'm like, I love money, money, I love you. Because it's alive too. Everything is literally alive. In Hinduism, they teach this. And you can understand. I used to think, learning this, I'm like, what? My couch is alive. Like I understood
Yeah.
crystals and plants, but literally also Bashar explains this, that when he's asked what is God, he says all that is. Nothing else is anything else. There is only God and creator to make everything out of. So nothing, even if we make this chair or we made this couch, still it was made from the cosmos. It was still made from the universe. And we are the universe. We are stars wrapped in skin. And I got to see that without a doubt when I saw my light body. And but yeah, what was I saying? But money. So yeah, if you want to start manifesting, it starts really with self-love and doing your inner work, because those things are going to block the things that you're trying to manifest.
Right. Like attracts like. So if we're in a higher vibration, we'll attract higher vibrational
Exactly.
energies and things to us, which I
Yes.
really love. Yeah.
Yes. And Buddha, I have a quote I put on my son's wall from Buddha. It says, what you think you become. How powerful is that when you think about it? What you think you become. And, really the angels ended up showing me on a DMT journey why I got sick from the Lyme, why I made myself sick. I wished to die. I prayed to die. I manifested that. So, you really have to be careful what you wish for, what you're thinking about, what you're dwelling on. It can be very detrimental if you're having those, suicidal thoughts, or even, I really didn't want to kill myself. After that initial, I tried, it was always like, God, just take me. I would just pray to be taken, to go home. But, I've been trying years and years and now to overwrite and rescind and revoke. And I bind all the curses I ever spoke about myself or anyone, because I don't want that karma coming back to me anymore. And I'm breaking that contract essentially, and breaking that curse. But words, everything's a spell. Also, people don't realize the Bible's a book of spells, you
Yeah.
know, and spells are just prayers. But everything we say, everything we write, everything we think, it's all a manifestation. It's all a spell. And then it matters how much of your heart and spiritual intention you put into it, and then physical work that you have to do behind it as well.
You worded that so perfectly.
Oh, thank you.
It's everything you're talking about is so relevant to me right now. And all the things I've been thinking about. So again, synchronicity. I would
Hmm.
love to hear your thoughts on that, because literally all week it's like
Yeah.
I know now to expect synchronicities, but it's especially this week. Maybe it's this whole astrological situation happening, but I'm really looking around going, this is a dream. This is a dream, because this is all too weird. This is all just
It's getting weirder by the moment. I love
it's
it.
yeah, and also, and I'm not usually one to be like, oh, I feel this way because of the
Mm.
planets or whatever, but oh, love your mushroom cup. Yeah, because we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm personally a big fan of mushrooms. But yeah, I really am starting to see how this is all sort of coming together, and how the spirit's always talking to us. I'm a medium, so I know that already. But
Mhm.
tell me about synchronicities.
Well, synchronicities, you can call them glimmers too. I like to call
Oh, I
them
love that.
because instead of a trigger, you can start to see more glimmers in your life. So it's something hopeful and positive is what a glimmer is. But synchronicities that I get a lot are like what I see, it's 144 or it's 1144, and that's for the 144,000 the light workers and star seeds here. So like whenever I see that, it's just showing me it's like telling me you're on the right path and congratulations. It's just like a little cheerleading flag, like, oh, you're doing good and we're still here, and and keep doing what you're doing. But in 1111, I see that one. In 444 a lot. But there's signs from the animals that people need to pay attention to. So like if you a bird that crosses your path, a turtle that crosses your path, whatever it is, even insects like dragonflies and butterflies. I just had a butterfly, I was coming home, and an orange butterfly monarch flew up to the door and right, like almost into my face by me to make sure I saw it. And that
Yeah.
was, that's an angel message. And, and whenever you see a butterfly, isn't it just magical? It's just
Yes.
like, you stop and see like, oh, look, a little fairy. And I just had a caterpillar. I went to a local Amish store because I love the Amish, and they're just so intelligent, and really they're going to survive any apocalypse because they know how to grow their own food. They have real communities, and they live a very wholesome life. But I went to go get corn, and I was driving home, and I heard boop, like in my cup holder, and a caterpillar jumped out of the corn into my cup holder. And I'm like, this is weird. And I didn't know caterpillars could jump. I don't even know how it was possible. And so I ended up saving it and putting it in my garden. So I'm like, and I was like, I saved you. Will you stay here and bless me? And I'd love to see you be born. So I'm excited to see. I was going to try to raise it in my healing sunroom, but I'm like, I don't know if my cat would get it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, let's just talk a little. We were talking before I started recording about psychedelics, DMT, mushrooms, and I always preface this by saying, if you're going to do these things, please get a mental health check first. I've had a friend die because he went into psychosis because he was bipolar
Mhm.
and and took psychedelics, so or mood altering drugs. So please don't just do them without seeing a doctor first. I mean, you don't have to tell them that's what you're doing. Just make sure you don't have schizophrenia, bipolar, even in your family. It can be very, very dangerous. So please get yourself checked. Preferably work with a practitioner.
Mhm.
I will admit I don't, it's microdosing. I don't have mental illness in my family. So that's my precursor to please be careful when you're taking any kind of a drug, natural or not. And that. So,
Okay.
tell me what yeah, tell me what you wanted to say
It's
about
not
them.
a psychedelics aren't
Art,
drugs.
right.
Yeah, and psilocybin is not a drug, it's a medicine. Ayahuasca is medicine. Calling it a drug is propaganda from the colonizers, and they demonized it because that's what makes people powerful and see through the veil and see through the illusion. So they knew that the natives and traditional people had these powers, and that's why it was made illegal. Everything was made illegal to the Native Americans. They had to cut their hair. They had to go, convert to Christianity. They couldn't do their ceremonies. And of course, let alone, have their sacred ceremonies with, peyote, and there's many out there. But I did it in high school for fun and didn't
Yeah,
know,
me
like,
too.
whatever. I didn't have any major experiences. I probably didn't eat enough or have good quality mushrooms. But after, I think it was 2020, we started going on, my husband and I, to heal our relationship and heal our soul, started doing macrodoses together. And, one of the first times that we did it, we had such a profound experience that we both experienced. And, I was always, oh, these are hallucinations. So,
Yeah.
but we both witnessed the same things. And if it's a hallucination, how could our minds hallucinate the exact same things? Impossible. So that really got me thinking, like, this is really magic medicine. And, one of the first things that we saw, we were outside because you want to be in nature when you do these things. You want to connect to Mother Earth because it is Mother Earth medicine. And they're teachers. Ayahuasca is a great teacher. Psilocybin's a great teacher. If people understand, you can get through, massive healings, and that would take you years to heal. You can heal in a psychedelic journey if it's done correctly by the practitioner and yourself. It's still work you have to do and realize and learn and awaken to. But when we were outside, our grass suddenly turned into the ocean. And then I saw Laughing Buddha. We both saw the grass turn into the ocean, and Laughing Buddha was smiling at us in the grass. And then when we looked at the trees just had millions of eyes. They were eyes everywhere. And what else did we see? Oh, when we looked at the stars were amazing because I looked at the stars and I could see lines of light, like grid all around us, all around the earth, because it goes around the earth. And the stars communicated to both of us the same exact thing in our head telepathically, that we love you, we are your family. So the stars were telling me, we're your family and we love you. And I'm like, this is so cool. This is amazing. The stars are talking to me.
The
But
stars talked to me last time I did it too. It was really cool. They just turned into a web. Well, it was a web. There was a web
yeah,
between each
that's what it
star.
that's what it was. Yeah, a web is a better
Yeah.
way to do it.
And actually, for a minute, they turned into Rastafarian flags, but I think that was just a joke. Not a joke, but like a funny thing they were showing me of just peace
Uh-huh.
and unity. And then I heard, which something I already know, but it was just reinforcing. It was, we are all one, we are all connected. And it was showing me the web between each star is
Uh-huh.
also a web between me and that plant and this, and everything is alive, just like you said.
Showed you the quantum field. I think it's the quantum
Yeah.
field thing, actually.
I think so too. And when I was doing it in college, I would just see things moving or, oh,
Uh-huh.
that painting just came to life. And I thought, that's my brain,
Yeah.
like imagining this happening. And now I believe, because I also have told you that when I do take psilocybin, I can communicate with spirit even
Yes.
clearer than I normally do. And suddenly it's almost like they're talking right in my ear and I can hear and see more clearly. So again, I'm not saying, but also just, to say to, disclaimer is the word I was looking for. You can completely connect with spirit, completely sober. And I really endorse that. But I also just noticed that for me, suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, your grandma's talking to me, and it comes out more clearly. But you do not need to use any kind of medicine or any kind of
Well,
thing to
it's
do
a
that.
tool. It's just a tool, like Bashar
Yeah.
explained. Permission slip, it's a tool. And, I'm a big proponent of microdosing and macrodosing, and they're both beneficial. Microdosing can help with PTSD. They're doing
Yeah.
all these studies now showing it can, psilocybin is a miracle medicine. It actually can regrow brain cells. So imagine if we start giving it to dementia patients and Alzheimer patients, it can really help transform our world. And it's part of New Earth is it's becoming more normalized. It's becoming more popular, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because
Yeah.
again, we have to be conscious, make sure we have a trusted shaman, we're in a safe space. I would never go mushrooms, take mushrooms and go to the bar. That's a bad
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would never go to a big party or something. You want to be around people you trust in a sacred space and things like that. And again, it's just so much misconceptions of what is a drug and what is medicine. And it's traditional medicine. And I don't know if you've ever studied, I can't think of the name of the book, but there's a book that talks about Jesus giving mushrooms, or Jesus was a mushroom in one person's theory. I'm like, this is really crazy. But I've even done a quantum healing where Jesus came through and he was giving psilocybin tea in a cup. It was the first sacrament that the Essenes used. And it was used, just they've been used in shamanic practices since the beginning. And it wasn't until the colonizers took over the world that demonized all of them. But it's the original path is shamanism too, that we're going back to, is what I teach. And shamanism is, it doesn't have to be called a religion. It's more of a way of life, I would say, or a philosophy. And I was initiated by Great Spirit when I was taken out of my body. And my name, Denali Veda, Denali is my middle name, which is a Native American First Nations name for the mountain in Alaska, of course. But Veda comes from the Hindu Vedas. And when you combine my name, it means the Great One's understanding, or basically creator's understanding. And I'm bridging even the Hindu with Native American just in my name. And that's part of what my work is too, is bridging the religions, bridging the teachings together, because that's what we need to come back to. And they're all saying the same things. If you start to study Buddhism, Hindu, which Buddhism came from a branch off of Hinduism anyway. And one of my main draws also is Hinduism. And I met Krishna on DMT. I met Shiva, Krishna, and Lakshmi on another experience that they took me to a higher dimension, and I got to see them for moments, and that was an amazing experience. And the first time I did DMT, I didn't break through. I had my friend bring it over, but it was actually an amazing encounter I had before doing DMT. I have my work I do in my healing room on my house that we added on. And our friend that was bringing the DMT was on his way over, and I was just getting my room ready, getting the sage ready and everything. And I came and sat down on my couch, and a thunderbird, a literal thunderbird, a bird the size, it was unreal. I mean, I probably only would have seen it. Um, it was black and it was the size of a human being. This bird flew down in my neighbor's yard right across from me, 50 feet away, and I couldn't see its face. And then it had red feathers on it, and I knew it was a thunderbird. And there was thunder that came, and it was like spirit telling me this is a divine. I'm on the right track. I needed to do this DMT. But I couldn't break through when I tried with my friend, and I just tried it alone after he left. My husband was gone and he was left, and then I actually did break through and had an amazing experience. But what's really nice about DMT, it only lasts 10 minutes. And you can go like right to heaven, instantly. 3 or 4 hits, you can go, to the other worlds. But so if you want a quick wake up call, it's, DMT is good for that. And DMT is also in our own brain. So it's not necessarily a drug either. It's produced when we go to sleep. DMT is released. When we die, copious amounts of DMT are released. A good documentary is called The DMT Spirit Molecule that I recommend people to watch. I don't know if you've seen
I've seen
that.
it. Hmm.
But I would love to learn how to synthesize DMT from Mimosa pudica myself. I may be doing that in the future. But part of my dream and future work is I do ceremonies. I do offer ceremonies privately for people with psilocybin, and I'll give clients microdoses before a quantum healing, because that helps them, get deeper. And the other one I really love is kava. Kava isn't really a psychedelic. I think it's called an entheogen or it's like empathogen. Like it gives you more empathy, but kava also will open your third eye a little bit and helps you get really, really relaxed. So I love to give that to my clients when they're in person. And that's also a great tool that if you feel like you can't meditate, your third eye is blocked, drink some kava tea and light some incense, and you can really have a better and deeper meditation just from kava. But there's so many amazing, plants out there and medicines out there that so many people are unaware of, that I keep studying and learning more how many different medicines I can make from tree barks. It's like exciting to me.
Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you. It's a topic I'm really interested in, just because I've had my own experiences, and the more I didn't do them for like 30 years because I was like, I don't want to put drugs, because back in the day when we were doing them, they were considered a drug, and I always was like, I don't want to put anything in my body. And also I don't want to leave the present. Like, I'm healthy now. And I used to drink, and, in college, it was about escaping. And
Mhm.
now that I'm a sober person in terms of emotional sobriety, and I've done a lot of healing, and I don't drink and that kind of thing, I was so excited when this kind of came back on the scene in a different way, where it was like, this can be therapeutic. This can help people with anxiety, depression, trauma. And it's actually not going to have adverse effects, which is my concern, is like the things I did in college, I really wish I hadn't ever done. They were real toxins, chemicals, taking nitrous hits.
Mhm.
I'm lucky I'm alive. I'm lucky I still have brain cells, so I don't want to do drugs anymore, other than, you know, weed. But like, it's like, I don't, but it's plant, but again, but I
Medicine
found
too. That's not a drug.
exactly. It's like what we consider to
The
be,
drugs are Ritalin and Adderall,
yeah. And
um, the
yeah,
antidepressants that are so bad for people. The people kill themselves more on
right.
antidepressants than without
Yeah.
them, making more suicidal. And what I realized, it's spiritual warfare. All those drugs are spiritual warfare and part of the spiritual warfare, because people that are on a lot of prescriptions drug are blocking your gifts and blocking your third eye, and they're really designed to make you unhealthy and ignorant and asleep.
Yeah, and I will again say that, also weed can be an addiction, and it can also be used irresponsibly. It can be used to escape. And so anytime you're doing any kind of, I'm going to say, mind altering
Mhm.
substances of any kind, just, yeah, know yourself, know your mental health.
Mhm.
Is this an addiction, or are we, like, for me, it's a spiritual experience now. I'm not doing it as an addiction. I'm not doing it to check out. I'm doing it to check in.
Good.
with my higher self. And so I think if you're doing it responsibly, I just always have to say that because I don't want to be irresponsible about, I'm not promoting, I'm just very interested in the spirituality of it all and the science of it and what it does, and how DMT is called the God molecule. And there's so much more, as you said, in that documentary. And another one I just watched on Netflix, the brain, it's about different psychedelics and it's really
Okay.
wonderful, but I can't remember it. It's very well done.
I think
Um,
I saw that. It was a series of
yes,
shorter.
it's, yeah, and it's really well done. So yeah, if you have questions, obviously there you can dive deep into it. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here today with me and sharing so many of your wonderful insights. And um,
I wanted to say something about mental
yeah,
health.
please do, please do.
Parasites are the mental health issues that we're talking about because they are literal manifestations of evil spirits and evil demons. I've been detoxing parasites. If you're bipolar, you got a shit ton of parasites in your brain. If you are, it's like they are connected to all of our spiritual afflictions and sickness as well. And they are biblical. And do you know what a priest would bring in ancient times? Hebrew priests would bring, if you were possessed, what was the first thing they would give to you? They would give you wormwood and mugwort, anti-parasites. So they knew back then. This is also a big conspiracy and been covered up because I just saw a whistleblower come out that works for like the lab corps and the lab companies doing all these testings out of house. They're not allowed to say if they find worms in you and in their patients and in their labs. A lot of these big black rock companies, they've been covering up that, you know, cancer is related to parasites, autoimmune disease, you have parasites. But they're literally in America, you were taught like, oh, you don't get parasites unless you go to Mexico. No, like it's all in our food system. It is in our water. Giardia is a very common parasite, and it's in nearly every state's water that's been tested, from what I know, which is disgusting and, you know, scary to think about. So make sure you have good water filtration and you're drinking good water. UV light will kill most parasites. If you have a UV light filter that you can add onto your house, I recommend that. But a big part of my journey has been healing from these parasites and realizing they cause suicidal thoughts as well. And they're passed on from mother to child in the blood. That's generational curses essentially that is being passed on to you, and why mental health issues can be passed on, because it's really you're passing the parasites that are just that they feed off of your pain. They feed off of your, not just your nutrients, they're eating your soul. They are, we think worms just eat us when we die, and they are eating us alive unless you're detoxing them and cleansing from them. And you have to do this properly. And I'm writing about this in my book now, and I didn't want to talk about this with the angels. Like, you got to talk about the parasites because it's so gross, you know, but, or it's unpleasant to think about. But, you know, I'm glad that I had no idea. I was on TikTok that I found the worm queen and started I'm like, I think I have parasites. Maybe I don't. And then in meditation, a parasite came in and growled at me. I'm like, oh, I do. I got parasites. Dang it. But
I know we
we
all
actually,
have, yeah, we
yeah,
all have them. Yeah.
we do. And but people, I tell this to people all the time, no, I don't have parasites. Not my son doesn't think he has them. And I'm like, yes, you do, but it's okay.
Yeah, we're living organisms. We do.
Yes. I mean, I think it might be impossible to completely get all of them out. You know, some people say, but it's going to be I've had tumors of parasites come out of me. So this is, it's been saving my life, but it's also, I didn't prep enough going into it. I didn't do enough research, and I ended up hurting myself. You can die from detoxing incorrectly as well. So be wary of that, and really work with a holistic practitioner that is, you know, a detox specialist for if you're chronically ill as well. This is going to start your healing journey. But I also wanted to say before we finished, in January, I started getting really sick again. And this goes back to my spider bite. It's just been revealed to me recently in between, you know, interviews that I've done. So you're the second person that will hear this, that my Lyme was in remission for many years, and the bite like reactivated my Epstein-Barr virus. And what in January we started getting such intense ascension symptoms, and whenever there was an high X-class flare, I would be like bedridden. I couldn't move. I was getting migraines, and so I was attributing me getting worse all of a sudden to these ascension symptoms, and then realizing I just had a crisis and has been hospitalized a few times for how bad it's gotten. And I have a chronic hidden infection in my jaw, the angels told me, or the Agarthans told me, and it was going like my ears had been throbbing, and that was causing the migraines, all of that, not just the ascension symptoms. So, I'm actually, dying from this is what I found out. But I believe and know, and I've already been shown my future, that this is just part of my story that I need to talk about and tell. And, I'm not scared to die anymore. And because I know death is just a transition, and we're really immortal, infinite souls. And Bashar says, death is just like walking from one door through into another room, walking from one room to another room. And it's nothing to fear, and we shouldn't fear it. But it was a little upsetting to find out I've done so much work to heal, and then to get a setback like that is, disheartening. But I am, just restoring and my faith and foundation, and have to talk about this, and that, no matter what our struggle or trial is, that we can get through it, and believe that you will. And that's what's going to get me through it. And the health, I don't even have health insurance right now, and I'm going to need reconstructive surgery in my jaw. I really want to get to Turkey because their healthcare system is amazing, much better than America. And, you know, on this journey, just I want to say, don't feel bad if you take a step back, or if things happen. That the angels told me I'm at a precipice right now, and many of us are at a precipice point where you just have to, really, this is one of my biggest trials and biggest tests that I have to overcome. And it's going to be a miracle, they told me, because doctors say they can't heal what I have, and I'm going to heal it. And I proclaim that here and now.
Thank you so much, Denali Veda, for joining me today. I'm going to have your website linked below if you'd like to work with Denali. Find out more. That's where you're going to find it. You can say it out loud just in case there's somebody that is visually impaired.
Yeah.
We'll have, yeah.
Okay. My website is denali mindbodysoul.com. And then on TikTok, I'm on TikTok all the time. That's my favorite. I'm not really on Instagram. I do have one, but I'm Denali Veda Quantum Healer on TikTok and Facebook. And I post daily spiritual inspiration and hope and healing content. And then I do have like some TikTok things that are holistic that I promote, and also, you can get from my TikTok shop. And then my medicinals are on my website. I need to get them on TikTok shop eventually. But I have an amazing parasite, heavy metal, and candida detox for people that are ready to get started into next levels of their healing and awakening journey. And it's only $50. I wanted to make it affordable for people because there's so many really expensive detox, supplements out there, and they're not even quality. And mine is all organic. And the angels actually helped me formulate the formula that I'm using. And there's crystals even in it. So, and it's going to detox your third eye as well. And so the more you detox the heavy metals, the more third eye, your third eye will be functioning better.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.